Welcome back, everybody, to the Winner Circle. I'm here today with Amanda from True Dialog. They are the winner in the SAMI Awards, the Sales and Marketing Excellence Awards, this time for SMS. They are the SMS gods at True Dialog. Amanda, welcome back to the show, and congratulations again on another award.
Thank you, Russ. It's so great to be here.
SMS is really becoming this great marketing channel. We kind of were talking a little bit before the show. It's really because it's so personal and so intimate. You're in our pockets. You're right in there with mom and my sister and everybody else, right? And so it's we only let certain people in. So it's a really great channel once you're in, and it's something, it's great as a marketer, as me. It's great read rates. I'm so happy to have you on board to bring us kind of up to speed on what's going on, not in SMS, but in messaging, I guess we'll call it, because there's a lot of new terms coming in.
Yeah.
Before we get started, give us a little bit of background on True Dialog and what you guys are all about.
True Dialog is a business texting platform. It's that simple. We work with colleges, universities, big brands, small brands, retail, financial services, all kinds of different customers across many different verticals, many different use cases, many different sizes. We have native integrations with top CRM and marketing automation platforms. We have an API if you want to code up. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
And you guys are improving all this stuff. That's like we talked a little bit about RCS and the kind of emergence of it, especially in the business side. It's kind of now, especially now that iPhone supports it, the rest of America can now join the world with RCS. Give us a little bit of background about RCS. You guys have fully integrated it. It's launched. How is that going?
It's going great. So just to catch everyone up that may not have heard our first podcast, we have an RCS no-code visual composer, which allows you to see. RCS is a very interactive, it stands for Rich Communication Services. So you can embed images, videos, you can have call to action buttons that go to the map functionality, to websites, forms, call to action books. You can send it to the calendar for appointments and reminders. It's really actually very, very cool. A number of vendors do it only through an API, which means as a marketing team or as a growth team, you're relying on your engineering support to help you craft that message and test that message. What is it going to look like? But we built a no-code visualizer so that non-technical teams like marketing and sales can craft those messages and get them out.
And that is so important in itself, right? I mean, I remember when all of the kind of the Marcom and Martech stuff happened. It was like now your CIO is your new best friend. All of a sudden, yeah, you're spending so much time with them. And thank you for building something for the marketing people just to go in there and do the work, and not having to code that stuff and send it through an API.
Yeah, I mean, and it works very similar to marketers building HTML emails in a platform. Upload your images, check your colors, check your links, call to actions. The only difference is that in HTML emails, you might build it top to bottom, right, with different modules. In RCS messaging, you build it left to right. So you're actually swiping through cards and images. But that's sort of universal in the world today. So most people are used to that.
Dating apps and LinkedIn, right? It's
Exactly.
Now, you actually published something recently, the lessons you've learned from analyzing more than 1 billion brand text messages. This RCS plays a big role in that.
Yeah.
What did you learn in those billion messages?
Well, we looked at all the, the data science behind those messages. And what we learned is that if a consumer has opted in and subscribed to receive your text messaging, they actually want your text messaging, right? So I don't know about you, Russ. We hear sometimes in the market and sometimes on LinkedIn and in private dinners with other peers that people are somewhat scared and nervous to enter into the text messaging channel as a brand for fear of alienating their prospects and their customers and their community. But the reality of that data science is that it's actually just the opposite. If someone is opting in to hear from you, they are not turned off by your messaging. If anything, it was neutral at worst, right? So that would be my one thing to share with the audience is let's get started. It's time to start building that opt-in list.
Yeah, if you are a trusted brand, it is definitely. If you're somebody's trusted brand, you should be in their SMS account. It's very,
Absolutely.
very, very true. And today it's easier than ever, especially with you're talking about the APIs and MCPs and AIs and all the acronyms that we could throw at it.
Yeah.
It's gotten easier than ever, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. So you mentioned a couple things I wanted to touch on. The MCP, the model context protocol that exists out there. API is one way to access in the dev world. MCPs are another way to access inside LLMs like Claude, for example, and then start vibe coding applications on top of that. So MCPs we believe are the future. The vibe coding apps we believe are the future, and we as a brand are starting to think about not only being able to text human to human, me to you at scale, or in a one-to-one conversation if that's appropriate. Maybe it's customer support or something else like that. But also humans to agents and agents to humans. So I think we'll see a lot more of that in the coming years. Um, the AI surface is growing and growing fast.
Yeah,
So,
and that SMS channel has become such a critical component for all of this stuff, really. I mean, beyond, two factor,
mhm,
um, beyond two-factor authentication for, passwords and everything else.
mhm.
It's how we're communicating about notifications on deliveries and everything else about products we love and buy and want to communicate with. It's the stuff we don't want to communicate with. That's the challenge, right?
Yeah,
So, and especially when you get those kind of, we all get them, right? You get the bad guys, just like in email, we get bad emailers too. You guys have now developed something, I think it's called True Opt Out, where your customers are actually getting much better results based on what's coming at them, right? So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about that.
So one of the reasons that text messaging is such an engaged channel is that there's a barrier to entry, right? And that is the opt-in. Um, Oftentimes, consumers will opt out when they're ready to opt out, and they may opt out with the standard industry keywords like stop, quit, end, etc. There's a few others. Or they may not. They may not be familiar with that. They may send, "Don't contact me again," or "Text me again, and I'm talking to my attorney," or just an emoji, just a stop sign emoji, and put the burden back on the brand to figure out, is that a real opt out or not? So, in order to keep our clients safe and compliant, right, there's regulatory bodies that make sure that our brands don't have too many spam complaints or opt outs. So, one of the things that we built is an AI powered sentiment detection on opt out. So, it will catch those things like "Don't contact me again," or "This is a stop sign emoji. We think they want to opt out." Um, and the results have been fantastic. It's really, really cool.
Well, when you're in those types of situations, the last thing you want is another message, right? And so
Right.
it's good. It's good that you're trying to figure out what did they mean and act on that versus kind of, what are the rules? Because it's, as especially the tech generally likes to deal in rules, right? And
Yeah.
AI is kind of undoing that a little bit because it's making it a little bit fuzzier and intent versus rules. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, that sentiment analysis. And I think the root of it is, your first party data, your first party opt in list is hugely valuable as a brand, right? You are connected to their phone, which is in their back pocket next to their mom and their sister, all of those things that you mentioned. It's a really highly valued and intimate channel. And so the list hygiene needs to be really good, right? And keeping clean lists and staying compliant is really an important part of any text messaging program. So,
Yeah, and it's as marketers, again, if you've done this with email,
mhm,
um,
then you know this
it's the
already.
same principles, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to spam people, and you don't want bad leads. No, you pay more money for it and get banned, so it's all bad. So it's all
Yeah.
the same rules. It sounds like as marketers, we just need to be clean with our data and conscious of what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. The data hygiene and the list hygiene is important. As a longtime marketer, I used to say always be growing your list, right? Always be trying to grow that opt in and don't really be sad if someone opts out, right? That it's just part of the list hygiene. So,
Yeah. And you want them out. They're not
yeah,
interested. Why would you pay for them?
exactly. Exactly. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you guys we talked about MCP, APIs, AI, all of this. It's really about connections. You guys have that TrueConnect hub.
Hmm.
That's now live. I think you guys had just launched it when we talked last year. How's that
Hmm.
going? That's basically integrates basically all your data, right?
Yeah. So, in many of our systems today, we use email as a unique identifier, right? On the contact record, maybe that's HubSpot, Salesforce, Dynamics. TrueConnect does something a little bit different. It uses the cell phone number attached to that record. And what TrueConnect does is saves your team from having to build custom integrations between the systems. It saves your team from having to purchase a connector, a paid connector like Zapier, that's going to charge you for every connection. It is a no-code connector that sits on top of the True Dialog integrations in HubSpot, Salesforce, Dynamics, and uses that cell phone as a unique identifier. That way, let's say your marketing team is texting out of HubSpot, but your customer service team is dealing with support tickets out of Dynamics. All those records are shared with all the systems, and all the teams can see the full contact and the full activity history with that phone number, which is a game changer on such an intimate channel like text messaging.
Yeah, it's funny because we've all of this connection has made it easier for us as marketers to market to people and to be
Hmm.
better at it and more
Hmm.
targeted. Um, it also is pushing people, I think, out of email. We've kind of overdone email, and people are looking for that next kind of relief valve. And with RCS, it really kind of turns it into that kind of rich experience that email became over time, that web enabled experience. How are you seeing the numbers? You talked about kind of, it going well. What do you see, click wise? Are people clicking more? Are they engaging more with content? Are they buying more? That's what we,
Yeah, with RCS over plain SMS,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. The engagement rates on RCS are huge, just because we are, our monkey brains. We are visual creatures, and SMS is plain text. I think there's 160 characters, maybe a link if you're but RCS, the engagement levels are so much higher. You've got 10 cards, you've got I think you've got up to 3,000 characters. I don't encourage you to send 3,000 characters, but they are there if you absolutely need them. And you can have multiple call to action buttons on every card, right? 3 or 4 call to actions on every card. So the opportunities for engagement are just so much richer than just a plain text. It's awesome.
Yeah, and again, these are people that asked to be contacted, right? And so,
Correct.
did you find a customer who kind of was maybe one of your betas that kind of convinced you internally that this was really going to work and be pretty awesome?
We've had multiple customers to do that with. It's been seeing some of the early results is really exciting. It's really motivating to see these technologies land in different customer environments, different communities, different verticals, different use cases. But yeah, I mean, it's a very exciting thing. I think one of the things we have not yet talked about is the verified sender that comes with RCS. So not only does RCS offer those rich communication, embedded video, different cards, 10 different cards, all the different calls to action. But one of the unique identifiers of RCS messages is the sender. It doesn't come through a phone number, which was hard for me to wrap my head around. Like, what do you mean it's not a phone number? It is a verified sender. It is a pre-populated contact card with your brand's logo and your brand's name that comes through.
I've started to see those in my inbox from
Hmm.
the big healthcare companies and some of the big utilities and telecoms.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so as a brand, just sending that is an additional touch point. We've talked about 17 touch points before consumers can sort of connect the dots. And every RCS message with the verified sender is one of the, an additional brand touch point with the minds of your consumers. It is incredibly hard to spoof, right? It's incredibly hard to impersonate. So if you're in a financial services or a healthcare industry and you need to know that these, your consumers need to know that these messages are truly from you. Maybe it's your account status or updates within your portal. That's a great way to do it, is through the verified sender with RCS.
Yeah, and that's better for everybody. I think in the very early days of email, that Bill Gates had a kind of an idea to charge everybody for email. Let's not make it free, because then spam would be significantly cut. I think cheap spam would be really cut, but um, and it would be interesting. They were really looking for microtransactions, and that's effectively what you've done. If you kind of add this authorization layer where there is this price a brand has to pay, you
Mhm.
have to go through this very formal process. Having been through just an SMS process recently, it's a very formal, laborious process. It is like going to the bank and taking out a loan. And you are verified so that this stays clean, because that's what we really want. Is we want this to stay clean this time.
Yeah, that we want the channel to stay clean. We want those lists. We want the channel to continue to remain highly engaged. Um, I don't know about you, email is something that we all have to check every day,
Right.
but with the separation of these are important emails and these are not important emails, right? It just tells you that email is a flooded channel. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on in there.
Yeah. This is what I let in. This is what I let into my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I know that, carriers are now blocking all sorts of unregistered traffic, and
Yep.
I know the TCPA suits are climbing, and seems to be this global opt-out requirement in April that everybody's now struggling to either comply with or complying with.
Yeah.
That's secretly become like a great product feature rather than a legal checkbox, is kind of all this regulatory environment kind of helping
Yeah.
us out.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a paid channel. Why pay for things that you are not going to receive anything in return for, right? So if someone's on your list and they don't want to be, we should get them off your list, right? It's better for them. It's better for you. Um, yeah.
Where do we go next from this RCS destination? Is RCS get richer, or is there another kind of technology beyond that will be evolving to in the next decade? Or
I think it's going to be AI, right? AI messages, AI agents being able to send messages that are targeted and timely, be it a plain text or even an RCS message. I think we'll get to the point where RCS can be automated in a way by agents in a safe, compliant, and um, high value way. And by high value, I mean high value for the consumer receiving it because it's targeted, it's timely, etc.
yeah, and it goes back to kind of that opt-in. We were talking a little bit before, as Google is working hard on cookies and kind of getting rid of them, having a
Hmm.
hard time doing that. But it's really about that first party data and companies owning that data and owning that list and being engaged with that customer channel.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking with some publishers now that rely on the advertising revenue that comes from driving web traffic to their articles and their news. And, they see the writing on the wall with the internet changing and traffic dropping, and that with that traffic dropping, so does that ad revenue drop. Kudos to these brands. They are thinking ahead in what if we had first party lists and we use those as sponsorship opportunities. So let's just imagine that you are a sports magazine or a sports publication and digital publication, and there's major news that breaks in football and you're sending out a major news alert along with this alert has been brought to you by X sponsor, right? Whatever that sponsor might be. So that's another advertising opportunity for them. And a highly engaged one. We know that RCS is highly engaged. We know that first party data is highly engaged, highly qualified lists, high
Yeah,
value lists. So,
and I remember just hearing, like, as an email marketing guy, originally it was, if you got a 20% open rate, you were killing it. Right?
Right.
And with messaging, with SMS and RCS, you're talking 80-90% open rates. So they're
Yep.
seeing those messages. And now with this RCS, they're seeing your brand whether they like it or not in their inbox and mom's face.
Yep. You are spot on. The open rates on SMS are touted to be upwards of 90%, and some stats cite 98% open rates. Click-through rates are insane, right? They can be up to 30 and 40%, which I think email hopes to get 3%, 5% if you're lucky.
Yeah, 5% is great.
Yeah. We do have a customer that saw a 1,200% return on ad spend. And that's just talking about plain text. That's not even talking about RCS.
Yeah,
So
I believe it. It goes back to you're in that pocket. You're next to mom. And nowadays it's on every device we own. It's that trusted channel beyond email that we now are using.
Yeah.
So as a marketer and as a CRO, as a SMS expert, as we go into this as marketing people, what are the lessons we need to know? What are the tips to keep our audience engaged, to make sure we're doing things right other than cleaning our list?
Yeah. I would say if you're not texting today, now is the time to get started. So understanding that opt-in compliance and the rules around that would be the first thing I would recommend. There's that saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time to plant a tree is today. And I feel the same way around text messaging. If you have not started building your opt-in list, now is the time. It is the future, and it will, you want to pace with it. The next thing I would say is start thinking about the use cases and start thinking about the audience and the messaging that you have to share with them. Get creative. If you work with a good vendor, they will brainstorm different ideas with you to drive your business. So yeah, it's a great
time to get in it.
Yeah.
It really is. It is. And if you're not doing it, you should start today. As you said, that's a great comment about a tree.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever get easier.
Exactly.
Well, Amanda, thank you for being our acronym decoder today. With all the three letters. I don't think there is a better. Maybe the medical field, they might be better with naming things, but I think telecom and technology, they definitely get the acronym award. But thank you so much for walking us all through this and the update on True Dialog. It's such a great space to be in. It's so interesting. We're going to keep an eye on you for sure.
Thank you so much, Russ. It was great to be here.